Under the U.S. Constitution and various laws passed by Congress, most American citizens who are 18 years and older are eligible to vote. For citizens to vote, however, they must be registered. Voter registration is handled not at the federal level, but by state governments, and each state has its own laws regarding eligibility, residency, the deadline for registering to be eligible to vote in an upcoming election, and how to register. Nearly half the states allow registration on the day of an election. Many states do not allow those convicted of a felony to vote, though in most states those voting rights are typically restored when the sentence is completed. Many states also have provisions that a person judged not mentally competent cannot vote, and some states have other limits to registering. States generally require people registering to vote to provide some form of identification to verify their identity and eligibility. The National Voter Registration Act of 1993, sometimes nicknamed the Motor Voter Act, made it easier for people to register to vote. Under this law, all states must accept the National Mail Voter Registration Form, which can be downloaded and mailed in. In addition, people can register in government offices such as the State Department of Motor Vehicles, Armed Forces recruiting offices, and some offices that provide benefits such as food stamps. In more than 2/3 of the states and the District of Columbia, voters can register online. People who move or legally change their name need to update their voter registration to maintain their ability to vote. Those who change states need to register in the new state and should cancel their old voter registration. In many states, people can declare a party identification when they register or declare themselves as independents. Registering for a party is not a legal requirement for voting, but it can be a requirement to vote in a party's closed primary in some states. Any registered voter can vote for any candidate in the general election, regardless of party affiliation. The American practice of requiring voters to register is unusual among traditional democracies around the world. In many countries, voter registration is automatic, and records are maintained by the national government and shared with local authorities. Some countries, such as Germany and Australia, require registration of all eligible voters. People cannot choose not to register, as is the case in the United States. Voter registration is much higher in countries with automatic or easier registration processes. In the United States, an estimated 1/4 to 1/3 of eligible voters are not registered to vote. In comparison, registration rates in Canada, the United Kingdom, and Sweden exceed 90%. Registration rules in the United States contribute to lower voter turnout compared to the rest of the world's other democratic countries. But voter turnout today in the United States is even lower than it was earlier in the country's history. When based on the number of registered voters, turnout in the 2016 United States presidential election was only 65.4%. When turnout is calculated based on the number of eligible voters, voter turnout rates in the United States plunged to near 50%. While turnout for presidential elections remained high up until 1964, it has generally fallen since then, and turnout in midterm elections, elections for Congress that take place in the middle of a presidential term, is even lower, often falling below 50% of registered voters since 2002. Turnout varies greatly among different groups of voters. One key factor affecting turnout is age. Older people tend to vote at significantly higher rates than younger citizens. In fact, persons between the ages of 65 to 74 years are about 3 times more likely to vote than persons 18 to 24 years of age. Several factors account for these differences. Older people are more accustomed to voting, and voting tends to become more consistent over time. Younger voters register at lower rates, which obviously prevents them from voting. Older people also are typically more stable in their residence. The fact that younger voters move frequently means they have to update their registration or they cannot vote. Older people may also believe they have more at stake in elections, particularly because potential changes to programs that affect seniors, such as Social Security and Medicare, are often central to campaigns. Conversely, younger people may think that campaign issues are not aimed at them. There are also gender differences in voting behavior, with women now more likely to vote than men. College graduates are much more likely to vote than people with only a high school diploma, and as income rises, the likelihood that a person will vote also continues to rise. Rules and procedures of American elections can also help explain why turnout is lower in the United States than in other countries. First, Americans have the opportunity to vote far more often for far more offices than in most democracies. Americans can vote for officials from the town tax collector to the county sheriff to state judges to the president, in some cases in both primary elections and the general election. The plethora of elections can be overwhelming to citizens and provides many occasions for voters to stay home. Moreover, voting in the United States is not compulsory as it is in some other countries. Turnout in Australia, where voting is required by law, was at a historic low of 91% in 2016. American elections are generally held in the middle of the week, whereas other countries hold them on weekends. Some countries even make Election Day a holiday. These rules make it easier for working people to vote. The number of non-competitive races in the United States, particularly for Congress, can also suppress turnout and may contribute to the much lower turnout in midterm elections than in presidential election years. When citizens cast their vote, there are several factors that impact how they'll vote. Party identification has a particularly strong influence on how citizens vote. Most Americans identify with either the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. This identification often stems from the political identification of a voter's parents and remains with an individual for their lifetime. Some voters will always vote for the candidate from the political party with which they self-identify. Party identification ranges from voters who are strong Democrats or Republicans to leaners, people who are not really aligned with a party but tend to favor its positions, to true independents. It might be surprising to know that from 1972 to 2012, rates of party identification have not changed substantially, though there has been a slight shift away from the Democratic Party. Whereas in 1972, 51% of Americans were either strong Democrats, weak Democrats, or independents-leaning Democrat, that number had dropped to 47% in 2012. During the same period, the combined number of strong, weak, and independent Republicans increased from 33% to 39%. Interestingly, the percentage of true independents shifted only slightly during the time period, starting at 15% in 1972 and ending at 14% in 2012. Besides partisanship, some voters make decisions on their view of each candidate running for an office. In these instances, voters tend to favor a candidate with political experience over a candidate with little or no experience in politics. But there have been several exceptions to this general rule since the election of actor Ronald Reagan as governor of California in the 1960s, or Donald Trump as President of the United States in 2016. In addition, even experienced candidates for federal office, from Jimmy Carter in 1976 to George W. Bush in 2000, have claimed to have special merit running as Washington outsiders. Many voters are also influenced by a candidate's image or personal characteristics. For example, being perceived as charismatic or as ethical can greatly help a candidate succeed. Economic issues also influence how people vote. Voters tend to reward the party in power if the economy is doing well, and support the opposing party if the economy is doing poorly. Voters who believe that less regulation of business and lower taxes create a better economy will likely vote for the Republican candidate. Voters who believe that business regulations are necessary and that the tax system should be progressive will likely vote for the Democratic candidate. Specific policy issues, especially social ones, also influence voters. For example, many people strongly identify themselves as pro-life in favor of limits to or an outright ban on abortion, while others strongly identify themselves as pro-choice or favoring fewer or no restrictions on a woman's right to choose an abortion. For such voters, where a candidate stands on the issue of abortion can be the determining factor for how they vote. A person's belief about the proper role of the United States in world affairs and conflicts has also been found to influence how some people will vote. Political scientists, for their part, have identified two broad types of voting that explain much voter behavior. Retrospective voting refers to voting choices based on the past performance of a political party, office holder, or administration. This type of voting evaluates candidates based on their record and the policies for which they can be seen to be responsible. A campaign ad praising a candidate's record in office appeals to this type of voter. Prospective voting refers to voting choice based on the expectation of the future performance of a political party, office holder, or administration. This type of voting clearly comes into play with inexperienced candidates, including those running for a type of office in which they've never served, such as a member of Congress running for president.